Mary's Square. It's this little
Where are we
square
at?
between
St. Mary's Square.
St. Barbara.
What are we gonna watch?
We're gonna watch some trumpet.
Thing?
Do you see this
thing? I'm not
different
quite
kind
sure.
of white stone here? That's,
He's explaining
sort
it to us right now.
demarcates this from the main square. This was once a cemetery. Most of the churches in Krakow, in the old town, had churchyard cemeteries. This was normal in medieval times, that you have the cemetery right next to the church. When the Austrians took over, they said, look, this is unhygienic, having all these cemeteries and burials taking place in such a small, cramped area. So they issued this kind of official edict saying you have to close and liquidate all these old inner city cemeteries, and that's when they created in 1800 that large cemetery outside of the old town, which we briefly saw where the parents of Karol Wojtyla are buried. So this would have been surrounded by walls here. You wouldn't have actually had a straight walk there. The cemetery was surrounded by walls and there were 3 entrances, but they got rid of this, but people are still buried down here. They didn't actually exhume people here. Some of these little epitaphs, these little monuments here are relics from the old cemetery that they just saved in a sense. They don't show where people are buried, they're just more like an archaeological display in a sense. But we're right next to St. Mary's Church, the most important church within the old town. Now, it's not the cathedral. This is the most important church in a sense, on a local level in a sense, for the people of Krakow, where the cathedral has a more of a national importance. This is the main parish church. It's a 14th century Gothic church, but it's something very peculiar. It has these 2 unequal towers. The tower on the right, the taller tower, is actually not city property. I mean, it's not actually church property, it's city property. Because it's always been considered the best watchtower in the city. So it doesn't actually belong to the church, it belongs to the city. And there's still a city guard out there, watching out, no, not really watching out, more on carrying on this tradition of playing the trumpet every hour on the hour, which we're about to hear, which is why I've taken you here. And this is the best spot to hear the trumpet call because of the acoustics, because we're actually surrounded by other buildings, so it really reverberates and resonates here. But this tower was considered part of the old city fortifications, and you had a man up there looking out for fires, for invading armies. Now, the man up there today is not really doing that anymore. There are more modern ways of looking for fires and having a man up in a tower, but he's carrying on this tradition. The tradition is that this trumpet player was up there, of course, to sound the alarm, but also in the morning to play the trumpet call to signal the opening of the city gates, and in the evening to signal the closing of the city gates. Then, in the Renaissance, when they installed a clock on the on the town hall tower, which we can't see from here, they started playing it on the hour every hour. He plays it 4 times, this trumpet call. Once towards the castle for the king, once towards the town hall for the local government, once towards the city gate, which we just came through for the important visitors, and once for this small square that's behind us for the local merchants and craftsmen. We're going to hear the 4th version. Now, in the distance, we'll hear the first call, the second call, the 3rd call, but the best version is here. But you'll start to hear it in a moment. The specific thing about this trumpet call is, though, it's interrupted in mid-note. It's never completed. So it's da-da-da, and it gets cut off.
Is it real?
Oh, and well, I mean, you'll see it in a moment. I want to point all this out. It's a real person. It's not a recording. It's not mechanical.
Do you see the trumpet?
You'll see him. Okay, you've got the taller tower. You've got the 8-sided section with 2 windows and a lower and upper window. He'll be playing from the upper section, the upper window. And you can already hear it, but that's not. So you can get. But I'll talk over it because he'll play in our direction still. Do you see the upper window facing exactly in our direction?
Yeah.
The middle pane will open, and that's where you'll see the trumpeter and hear him. But of course you can hear it pretty well right now. It's played every hour on the hour, but the melody is never completed. The legend is back in the 13th century, the Mongolians attacked. They were approaching the city, and a brave guard was up there, and he started signaling the call that an army's coming, get ready to defend the city. But of course the Mongols heard and saw this man as well. One of the Mongolian archers put an arrow in his bow, took aim, let the arrow fly, and the trumpeter was struck in mid-throat as he was playing the trumpet, and he never finished his call. And none of the trumpet players since that time ever finished the melody in tribute to their fallen comrade.
That's hardcore.
And the thing is, now this is a tradition steeped in myth and legend, but it's a historic fact. We know from city records that there's been a man playing a trumpet up in that tower since at least the 14th century. That legend about the arrow relates to a 13th century event, which certainly could be true. But we know as historic fact they've been paying a man to be up there since the 14th century. Now they're members of the fire department. They have 24-hour shifts. There's no elevator, so they just sleep up there. and you know, get up, and they have to be ready on the hour to play. And since 1927, it's broadcast live on the Polish radio. So there's a microphone, a speaker up there. It's a Marconi speaker from the 1920s. And at 12 noon, it's broadcast live on the Polish national radio. So it's almost like a second national anthem. Every
cool.
Polish person knows it's either they've never been to Krakow, and so it's this kind of very sentimental melody. And it sounds a little bit like taxes, as a very solemn melody. In a moment, we'll be playing the Revelation.
Sweet.
And this is the thing I should emphasize. When I say every hour, I mean every hour. 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. During a
Wow,
blizzard,
that's
it
really-
doesn't matter. It's every hour
Oh wait, he's
on the
gonna play in
hour.
our direction.
Are you sure?
And it's been
No?
like this for a long time. And it's here he goes.
There it is. There's the window.